You know what? This is gonna be a first for me. I am on nobody's side for this episode, and actually, in a lot of cases, I think Hina was probably the one the most in the right for this episode, which doesn't really say a lot when I talk about the other two, but still, just like, it's just a mess. Now, not bad as in terms of bad writing, I'm just saying it's a mess in terms of just like, the conflict, the drama, to just like what Natsu has done, what Rui, and just Hina, just like holy crap. So, where to begin? Where to really begin? I mean, honestly, when we look at the situation here, it was bound to happen eventually. And since I believe this series is going to only have like 12 or so episodes, then it's kind of obvious why we're having this conflict now, for we can kind of have this conflict settled before the series comes to a conclusion, for we can have like a happily ever after or whatever happens. But I do know that this series does have over 200 plus chapters. That has been told to me, so I do know that this anime by no means is ever going to probably conclude or show all the content unless we have a season 2. But there is a possibility we might get an anime original ending, or there could just be announcement for a season 2. Who really knows? We might not ever get a season 2, but it seems like the reason why this conflict is happening right now as it is probably to have a proper conclusion, and I think that's probably why they've been skipping so much content for the past few episodes, is for they can get to a conclusion like this, because every drama slice of life series needs a spicy drama conclusion. That's usually what happens. Let's just be real. And so, when you factor in everything that's happened in these past couple episodes of being skipped, then that's the reason why. And speaking of skipped, can we talk about that montage at the beginning of the episode? Like, what? Okay, if you don't know what I mean, it was literally nothing but still frames for like a minute 30 to 2 minutes. And don't get me wrong, I mean, they did obviously have to draw these, and they did put in the effort of drawing the pictures, but starting off your episode with a bunch of still frames for a festival that we don't really know much about, or any of this that was going on, and it's just kind of like completely cut over, I'm like, what's going on here? And it's just like, it was so quick, I'm like, they were obviously just trying to conclude it as quickly as possible. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, what a way to start an episode with all that, like the montage of still frames and all that going on for like a minute and a half to 2 minutes. But speaking of which, I was told apparently that stuff at the beginning of the episode was stuff that actually was cut. So yeah, that's why I mentioned cut stuff, is because I was told that a lot of content was cut this episode, which is kind of sad because I actually do like this series, and I have been told from fellow watchers and friends and stuff that read the manga that the reason why I don't like Hina, like people actually kind of clarify why I don't like Hina now, is because the anime is not giving proper character development / characterization for Hina. It's not really giving reasons to why she's changed so much or why she's different so and so now, but the anime isn't really showing that. That's what I've been told from the manga readers. And if that really is the case, then now I could see why someone would be a little bit upset. But at the same time, you can't blame me for when I'm reviewing just the anime and I'm not a manga reader. I'm not doing an anime-manga comparison. I'm just reviewing the anime as an anime only. But I could see why someone would be upset there if that really is the case. But okay, let's get into the actual drama. Rui got upset, and I feel bad for her. I really do. But at the same time, she kind of caused that conflict to begin with. But Natsu isn't, not guilty either. He's very guilty as well because of what he did. And I think he's a little bit more in the right than Rui, but at the same time, they're both pretty bad in their own regard in terms of what they're doing, and it's just mixed up into a big pot of mess. Like, it's just a mess right now, and you just gotta wonder how they're really gonna be able to work through this. So let's get right to the fundamentals. So what is causing all of it? Well, obviously, Natsu and Hina's relationship is causing some conflict with the two sisters and Natsu. Okay, that's the gist of it, like the main summary. And the reason why this is because Natsu, he has been lying to Rui about where he's at every single day. Now, the reason why this is a problem is that Rui, she obviously is starting to crush on Natsu. We've seen this, it's slowly been built up for a while now, that she is falling in love with him, or she is in love with him, and she's been trying to get his attention. I mean, she's been trying to cook for him, get into his club, learn more about riding, etc., just to be able to have a bond with him. So Rui has been going out of her way to have a relationship with Natsu. That has been set up for a while now. And obviously, her probably having these little hints alliance that she wants to be with Natsu would probably make it to where Natsu feels very uncomfortable, and he doesn't really know how to answer it, because at the very beginning, if you go back to the first episode, remember, they went all the way, right at the start before they really even had a relationship, and Rui said so herself. Don't think much of this, she just basically threw it away, slid it under the table, and don't worry about it at all, this isn't anything too important or relevant, and so she kind of threw away all those mixed feelings at the beginning of the series, so you can't really blame Natsu for kind of not really going along with Rui and probably, you know, expressing love towards her because of just how she handled it in the first episode. And I think Rui has really came to terms of just how important that was for someone, especially for Natsu's situation. But it's not just that either. I mean, he's in a very complicated, you know, situation, because Rui is someone that obviously is really expressive. She's really starting to express herself, and Natsu isn't blind to that. Let's be clear. He's not blind to the fact that Rui has a crush on him, and he's very aware of this, but at the same time, he can't say no to her. And it's very different from how he handles other characters we've seen from the series. Like, he normally has, like, constantly turned them down. Like, when we look at the other two female characters or any of the other characters, he turns them down instantly. And, I mean, he kind of has turned down Rui in a little way. He's, like, said, I'll continue to be your stepbrother and protect you. He kind of, you know, stepbrothers, you know, he was a stepbrother and his sisters owned her. But even then, though, it still wasn't enough. And Rui isn't really getting a hint, I guess. And it's obvious that he's very conflicted, because he does have some feelings growing for Rui, but his feelings are mainly for Hina because it was, or she was, his first love. And that's what I'm getting at, is that Rui has kind of caused this conflict with how she started this relationship between them since the first episode, but at the same time, the reason why everybody got so upset in this episode is because of Natsu lying. He was lying to Rui where he was at every single night, which I think was kind of uncalled for, which, like I said, I understand why he's doing it. He's mixed, and he's very just worried about, like, his relationship with both sisters, but because of that, he caused more conflict than not telling the truth, because it wasn't just the fact that Rui got jealous. She actually legitimately was worrying about Natsu, thinking that he was hurt, in danger, because, I mean, look, the man's leg is all hurt, and him just disappearing like that would cause her to be very concerned, and so her searching around, freaking out, and finding out he's not around, you know, it's pretty sad. And so, even though Rui deserves some of it, I don't think she deserved that, at least to be lied to that extent, and Natsu is guilty in that regard. He should at the very least have been just straight up, even though it's wrong and all that, he should have been at least straight up saying he was visiting, you know, Rui's sister, Hina, constantly, even that would have been a-okay. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, Hina is probably the least problem one, like the one that caused the least amount of problems in this episode. Even though she is kind of getting a relationship with Natsu, you can't really blame her in this episode. So yeah, Hina fans, you actually get a win this episode. You really do, because she actually was kind of neutral. It wasn't really her fault at all. And also on top of that too, can we talk about how Rui keeps sending these signals with, like, baths and stuff? See, that's also what's confusing Natsu, making it harder for him to tell the truth. Because with Rui walking into the bathroom like that and helping him out, it's kind of making it complicated. Because, once again, he did say, let's just be step-siblings, but then she does stuff like that, and it makes it to where he retreats and doesn't want to say the truth of where he's at with Hina, because he knows for a fact that she loves him. So, there's just so much going on, it's such a mess, and this is why I do like drama series. It's very entertaining just to see all these characters kind of get out of that. By the way, speaking of characters getting out of it, can we talk about how Natsu's friend, his best friend, is really a bro? Like, I mean, yes, he's lying to Rui, and I don't approve of the lying and stuff that happened, but he did have his friend's back, and so I do like the, you know, the reality of that, how real it felt. Like, when Rui first confronted, you know, Natsu's friend, is like, oh, he's been staying over, and he's like, huh, no he hasn't. That was a very real interaction, because that's something that kind of would happen. And then, when he found out the truth, he's like, oh, no, yeah, he's been here, he would lie for, you know, his friend, and that's what happened. And obviously, Rui wouldn't really believe that anymore, because of everything that did take place. So yeah, just a very interesting episode of Domestic Girlfriend. I'm pretty impressed. It was a good episode, but like I said, there was some things that, you know, upsets me a little bit, finding out that there was some content cut, and that does necessarily mean that I would have to read the manga to truly understand why so many potentially like Hina as a character. But okay, overall thoughts besides that, I think I pretty much covered everything. I think I got everything out of the way what I wanted to talk about, so I guess I'm going to end it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below, because for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified, so if you do want to get notified, hit that bell icon down below, and with that, I love you guys. Chibi out.